My name is Peyton Granger. I'm 29 years old, and until 3 months ago, I believed I was building the safest, most certain future of my life. Marcus Hale and I had been together for 5 years, engaged for one, and for most of that time, I told friends, with embarrassing confidence, that he was the one thing in my life I didn't need to question. We had plans, real ones, a wedding we'd been saving for, a honeymoon in Italy we'd created a joint fund for, a condo we'd been touring listings for. I pictured the future so clearly I could almost taste it. The smell of our first home, the quiet mornings with our coffee machine sputtering in the background, his hand on the small of my back as he always walked past me in the hallway. If you asked me 6 months ago, I would have sworn the universe itself couldn't shake what Marcus and I had. But the thing about betrayal is that it doesn't start big. It starts small, soft, almost polite, and then one day it cracks the floor beneath you. It began with late nights at the office, more than usual. Then, urgent business trips that appeared out of nowhere. Marcus had always been relaxed with his phone, leaving it face up on tables, dropping it into the couch cushions like it was nothing. Then suddenly, it was always locked, always face down, always tucked away like a secret. I kept telling myself I was imagining things, that love doesn't rot this way, this quietly. But the night everything changed, the truth walked right up to me and slapped me across the face. Marcus was in the shower, humming some old R&B song as steam fogged up the apartment. I was sitting on the bed, folding laundry when his phone lit up beside me. Normally, I wouldn't have given it a second glance, but the name on the screen froze me in place. Office Mommy Hope, your clueless fiancé doesn't get suspicious. See you tonight. My arms went cold, my mind stalled. For 3 full seconds, I forgot how to breathe. I stared at the message so long I felt my heartbeat in my teeth. There was no misunderstanding that text. None. My first instinct was denial. Maybe it was a stupid inside joke. Maybe it was one of his coworkers teasing him. Maybe, God, maybe I was reading too far into a random nickname. But deep down, painfully deep, I already knew. This wasn't innocent. This wasn't harmless. This was betrayal, bold and shameless, glowing on the screen inches from my hand. Pay? Marcus called out from the bathroom. Did I leave my towel in the dryer? I swallowed down a tremor in my throat and managed a steady voice. No, I set one out for you. The shower shut off. A moment later, he walked out wrapped in a towel, rubbing water from his hair. When his eyes landed on the glowing phone beside me, a flicker crossed his face. A half second too fast, but I saw it. Then he laughed. Oh my God, babe, really? He picked up the phone casually, like the message didn't mean a thing. Don't tell me you're jealous over that. I raised an eyebrow, saying nothing. He waved the screen dismissively. It's just Clara, my boss. We call her Office Mommy because she micromanages everything. It's a joke. You're being dramatic. Clara. The name hit me like a pinprick of ice. I had met Clara Whitmore once. Older, polished, intimidating without even trying. The kind of woman who walked into a room and made everyone straighten their posture. Marcus typed something quickly, too quickly, and locked the phone again. I kept my voice calm, detached. You don't think the message is a little weird? He rolled his eyes, actually rolled them. Peyton, seriously? It was a joke. Don't be insecure. Something in my chest cracked. He didn't even try to reassure me, not truly. He made me the problem. He belittled me. He reduced the shameful evidence of betrayal into something I should feel embarrassed for questioning. I gave a small laugh, shaking my head. You're right. I'm overthinking. His shoulders relaxed instantly, and in that moment, he made his first mistake. He believed me. That night, Marcus fell asleep fast, like he always did after a hot shower. His breathing settled into the slow, heavy rhythm I'd memorized over the years. But I wasn't sleeping, not even close. I lay there staring at the ceiling, feeling something inside me shift, something quiet, cold, frighteningly steady. I didn't cry, I didn't shake, I didn't scream. I simply waited. At 1:14 a.m., when I was certain he was in the deep, immovable sleep I knew too well, I turned slowly toward him. Marcus had set up his phone to unlock with Face ID, passcode, and fingerprint, but he'd always used fingerprint when he was tired because it's easier. That would be his second mistake. I reached for his hand carefully, my breath barely moving. I positioned his index finger over the scanner. Click. The phone unlocked. A chill ran down my back. I navigated to his messages. The thread with Clara Whitmore was pinned at the top. I opened it. The world tilted. Months, not days, not weeks. Months of messages. Flirty messages, explicit messages, hotel reservations in multiple cities, all labeled as business trips, receipts for jewelry I had never seen, spa weekends he never mentioned, photos I tried not to look at but saw anyway, voice notes that made my stomach flip. And then the part that shattered the last of my denial. Marcus, Peyton has no clue. Poor thing still thinks I'm grinding for deadlines. Clara, when are you leaving her? I'm getting impatient. Marcus, soon. She's too sweet. It'll be messy, but she'll get over it. She always does. I stared at the ceiling, the phone still unlocked in my hand. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a momentary lapse. This was a long-term betrayal paired with a planned exit. He was going to leave me after bleeding me dry. Emotionally, financially, maybe even legally if he played things right. But here's the thing Marcus didn't know yet. I had swallowed betrayal before. I had survived heartbreak before. But being underestimated? Being dismissed? That hits a different part of a woman's heart. The part that remembers. The part that sharpens. I set the phone down gently. Marcus slept peacefully beside me, unaware that the foundation of his entire double life had just cracked. He thought I was clueless. He thought I was weak. He thought I would cry, break down, or beg. He didn't realize he had awakened something much, much worse. He had awakened clarity. He had awakened strategy. He had awakened a woman ready to burn the bridge after walking across it. And as I watched him sleep, one thought settled over me with frightening calm. You planned to ruin my world, Marcus. Now watch me ruin yours first. The morning after I read those messages, I woke up next to a stranger wearing my fiancé's face. Marcus stretched, kissed my forehead, and mumbled, "Morning, Pay," like nothing in the world was wrong. I stared at him and realized something. He didn't look like a monster. He looked normal, comfortable. Soft hair sticking up, pillow lines on his cheek, sleepy smile. Betrayal doesn't come with dramatic music and flashing red lights. Sometimes it just smells like your fiancé's shampoo. I've got a long day, he said, sitting up. Clara wants me in early. Big client thing. Of course she does. I smiled. I actually heard myself say, "I'm proud of you. You're killing it there." He glanced back at me, surprised, just for a moment. He expected suspicion. He got praise instead. And right then I made a decision. If Marcus thought I was clueless, then clueless was exactly what I would be. At least to him. Inside, the gears were already turning. I started with the bedroom. While Marcus showered again, humming the same song as last night like it was some ritual, I knelt beside the bed frame with a small device in my hand, a voice-activated recorder I'd ordered months ago for a work project and never used. Funny how things find their purpose at the worst moments. I fixed it under the bed slats, angled toward the mattress. It would pick up any conversation in the room, phone calls, whispers, the way he might rehearse lies to himself. People talk to themselves more than they realize. He came out, towel around his waist, hair damp. "You okay? You seem quiet." I looked up from my laptop, letting my face soften. "Just tired. Didn't sleep great." "You're not still thinking about last night, are you?" he asked, half laughing. I gave him the gentlest smile I could manage. "No, you were right. I was being insecure. I trust you, Marcus." He visibly relaxed, walked over, and kissed the top of my head. He had no idea I'd already unlocked his phone at 1:14 a.m. No idea I'd read every filthy, mocking word. No idea I had moved from hurt to strategy. "Text me when you get there," I said, tilting my head. "Always do," he replied, grabbing his phone and keys. That was his third mistake. He believed we were back to normal. When the door closed, the apartment fell into a charged silence. I set my laptop aside and picked up my own phone. I had one more piece to add to the setup, a tracking and monitoring app. Marcus liked convenience. He used the same 4-digit passcode for everything. His tablet, his gym account, his Netflix, even his food delivery apps. Guess who helped him set all of that up? I had his passcode, I had his fingerprint, and now I had motive. While he was at work, I used the Find Device feature we'd enabled months ago, in case we lose our phones traveling. I sent a silent push to his phone, a disguised installation prompt. Nothing that would catch his eye, just a quick, "System security update has been applied," sort of notification. Beneath that, the app embedded itself quietly. Location tracking, text mirroring, call logs. Every move he made from that moment on came to me in real time. By noon, I watched his dot move across the screen. Office, lunch spot, back to office. At 5:42 p.m., the app flagged a high-volume message exchange. A preview appeared. "Clara, hotel's booked. Don't be late this time. I'm not your wife." He sent a laughing emoji and something I didn't care to read. So that's what the late client dinner was. I took screenshots, then more screenshots, then more. GPS logs, timestamps, messages. The ugly reality of my engagement piled up in a neat little folder labeled insurance. The first night of my 3-day setup, I lay in bed pretending to be half asleep while Marcus changed in the bathroom. My phone, face down on my stomach, buzzed periodically with mirrored notifications. Marcus to Clara. Peyton's being extra clingy lately. She keeps asking when we're setting a wedding date, LOL. Clara. She still thinks you're going through with it? That's almost cute. My jaw clenched. I swallowed the rage, turned it into steel, and when Marcus slid into bed beside me, I instinctively shifted closer, resting my head on his chest. Because that's what the clingy, clueless fiancé would do. Can we talk about the wedding soon? I asked softly, playing my role. He tensed just a little, then forced a reassuring tone. Soon, Pay. I just want to make sure we're financially stable first, okay? Big projects coming up. I want everything perfect for you. Translation. I need time to milk this life before I throw you away. I smiled, even though every word tasted like metal. Of course, take your time. He kissed my forehead again. He thought he'd won the argument. Meanwhile, under the bed, the recorder clicked on. Day 2, I turned my attention to money. We had a joint account for our honeymoon fund, something we'd opened together at a small bank branch with ridiculous enthusiasm. We'd named it in the banking app. Italy or bust. I stared at the name for a long time. Then I moved every cent that had come from my personal income into a separate savings account under my name only. I left his contributions and the interest attached to them exactly where they were. He wanted to live like a bachelor with corporate sugar mommy perks while pretending he was engaged? Fine. He could pay for his own vacation out of whatever ruins of that account remained. I wasn't financing the woman he was cheating with or the fresh start he was planning without me. I also quietly separated my emergency fund, changed online passwords, and removed his auto login access from anything that directly belonged to me. If he decided to detonate the engagement, I would be sad, yes. But broken blindsided? No, not anymore. By the end of the second evening, I had dozens of screenshots, hours of location data proving the business trips aligned perfectly with private rendezvous. Voice notes where Clara giggled about your poor fiancé. One recording off the bed device where Marcus rehearsed a speech. I feel trapped. We rushed the engagement. I need time. It's not you, it's me. I stopped listening after that. I didn't need to hear the full script he was going to use to dismantle my life. I only needed enough to dismantle his first. But Marcus and Clara were small compared to the other thing blooming in my mind. The money. The hotels, the spa weekends, the jewelry, all booked on company credit lines or reimbursed as project expenses according to Clara's messages. Clara Whitmore wasn't just cheating with my fiancé. She was stealing. And suddenly I understood something important. If I wanted my revenge to stick, it couldn't just be emotional. It had to be structural. People recover from heartbreak. It's much harder to recover from losing your career, your reputation, and your safety net. So I did something that changed everything. I picked up my phone and called Ryan Cooper. Ryan had been my friend since college. We'd gone through crappy internships, failed relationships, and broke years together. Now he worked at the same company as Clara. Different department, same building. We hadn't talked in a few weeks, but when he saw my name, he answered on the second ring. Peyton, hey stranger, what's up? I didn't waste time. Rye, I need your help. It's about Marcus and Clara. Quiet on the line. Then a low whistle. Don't tell me. He's been sleeping with her for months, I said flatly. Using business trips as dates, hotels, gifts, all run through company budgets. Jesus, Ryan breathed. I knew there was something off about her. I didn't think she'd be that stupid. She's not just cheating, I said. She's misusing company funds. And she's bragging about doing it for years. Ryan's tone shifted from shock to something sharper. You have proof? I have texts, I replied. Screenshots where she literally says, that wasn't even my money. The project budget took care of it. I heard his chair creak like he'd just leaned forward hard. Peyton, that's corporate fraud. Like actual career-ending, possibly prison-level fraud. If this is real, it's real, I said. I need to know if there's a pattern. Expense reports, projects, anything that lines up with these dates. He swore under his breath. Everyone in the office hates her, but she keeps everything locked down. Still, I've noticed stuff. Weird late-night meetings, overpriced client dinners that no one attends, new jewelry, new bags, and no one knows where the money comes from. I closed my eyes, a grim satisfaction settling in my chest. So, it's not just Marcus. Oh no, Ryan said darkly. She's been playing with company money for a while. Marcus is just the latest toy. Can you get me something concrete? I asked. Reports, approvals, anything tied directly to her name? He exhaled slowly. It'll take digging. But if what you're saying matches what I find, we can blow this wide open. Good, I said quietly, because I'm done just being the girl who got cheated on. If we're doing this, I want it done right. There was a pause. Then Ryan said something I've replayed in my head since that day. Okay, Pay. Then we won't just break his heart. We'll break his safety net. I stared out the window at the city lights blinking in the distance, the secret life of my fiancé unfolding somewhere under them. Marcus thought he was playing chess with me. He didn't realize I'd just switched games. I wasn't trying to win him back. I was learning how to take his entire board away. Marcus had no idea that by the third night of my silent investigation, I knew more about his life than he did. He kissed me goodbye before heading to what he called another quick strategy meeting, the kind he said would keep him out late. He even winked. I smiled back, kissed him on the cheek, and said, "Don't work too hard." The door closed behind him. 2 seconds later, my phone buzzed with mirrored notifications. Marcus, Clara, leaving now. If Peyton texts, tell her I'm with the client team. Clara, don't worry, sweetheart. She's too soft to suspect anything. Soft. That word had become gasoline. They still believed I was the quiet, pliable fiancé who would cry, but never retaliate. That's the thing about betrayal. People think once they've stabbed you, they've already assessed all the damage. But wounds don't just bleed. Sometimes they sharpen. When Marcus's location stabilized at a hotel across the city, I grabbed my laptop, sat cross-legged on the couch, and opened a folder labeled M, short for something far less polite than Marcus. Screenshots, voice memos, GPS routes, expense reports Ryan had begun forwarding from inside the company. 2 words appeared repeatedly in Clara's project approvals. Client escalation, special request. Ryan had written next to one. She uses this label to patch fake expenses. The deeper I went, the more disgust solidified into clarity. These 2 weren't just cheating. They were funding their affair through stolen company money. Dozens of transactions, hotel rooms booked under company credit, dinners disguised as networking, reimbursement fraud layered so neatly most auditors wouldn't blink. But their texts were their downfall. They weren't even smart about it. At 1:03 a.m. the night before, Clara had messaged Marcus. "Did you like the necklace?" "Don't worry, sweetheart. The design budget covered it." Marcus responded with, "You're a genius. Peyton keeps asking where it came from, LOL. Then her. Tell her I got it from a client promo basket." I stared at that message so long the letters blurred. Marcus had lied to me for months. He had plans to leave me. He had mocked me to a woman who was stealing from her own company. But the necklace wasn't what broke something inside. It was the LOL. That was the moment my anger shifted from emotional to strategic. I didn't want him to hurt. I wanted him to face consequences. And Clara, I wanted her entire empire to collapse under her own weight. To do that, I needed one thing that would turn suspicion into undeniable proof. A confession in writing in real time. So I set the trap. I waited until Marcus's phone fell inactive, meaning he was fully distracted, then opened the mirrored message panel. I typed using his identity. "Hey babe, quick question." Clara responded instantly. "Pathetic, really. Miss me already?" I swallowed my disgust and typed, "Peyton was asking questions today. Might be getting suspicious." Clara, "She won't do anything. You said she's practically domesticated." I wanted to throw my phone. Instead, I kept typing. "She asked about the necklace." A pause. Then Clara replied, "Relax. It didn't come out of my pocket. The project budget handled it just like always." Perfect, but not enough. I typed, "Are you sure we're covered? She's been asking about travel too." Clara's arrogance, the same thing that had protected her for years, poured out. "Marcus, I've been doing this longer than you've been in the company. I know how to move money around without anyone noticing. Hotel invoices, dinners, flights, it all folds into the expense reports. No one's caught me in 8 years." 8 years. That was the confession I needed. Screenshots captured every line, neatly time-stamped, Marcus's name attached as sender. I forwarded them to Ryan with a simple message. "Fetch." Ryan called within 5 seconds. "Peyton, oh my God, do you realize what you just got?" His voice trembled with adrenaline. "Everything we need," I said. "This isn't just misconduct. This is federal-level fraud. She's been siphoning project budgets for almost a decade. Jesus." He exhaled sharply. "We can bury her with this." "Not just her," I added quietly. He paused. "Marcus too?" "Yes." There was silence before Ryan said something low, controlled, and deadly. Send me all the proof, every screenshot, every location ping. I'll cross-reference expense logs tonight. Starting from the oldest I have, I said, dragging files across my desktop. We're going to build a timeline. And when we're done? Ryan asked. We drop it at the same time, I said. One hit for Clara, one for Marcus, both delivered to the entire office. I heard him grin through the phone. You're terrifying. I smiled. I learned from the best. For the next 3 hours, we worked like surgeons carving rot from a diseased body. Ryan matched every suspicious message to a date and expense entry. Flights disguised as client audits. Hotel suites labeled vendor summits. Jewelry reimbursed as employee recognition. Spa charges hidden in team wellness initiatives. A full-blown affair funded out of tens of thousands of dollars in misallocated budgets. It was worse than either of us expected. Ryan finally said, "This could tank the whole executive tier if we hit the right pressure points." Good, I replied. Scandal travels upward. At 2:43 a.m., when the last file finished syncing, I drafted the first email. Subject: urgent. Evidence of fraudulent financial activity. Immediate review required. 2. Board of Directors, HR, Finance. Legal CC all staff. Attached. Screenshots of Clara's admissions. Expense reports flagged by Ryan. Location logs matching fraudulent charges. Gift receipts paid through client budgets. Date-aligned proof of misuse of corporate funds. Message body delivered in crisp, professional, frighteningly calm phrasing. Then the second email. Subject: workplace misconduct report. Violation of ethics policy. Evidence showed Marcus's affair with his superior. Favoritism. Misrepresented business expenses. Hotel stays disguised as work events. Undisclosed conflict of interest. Abuse of authority by Clara. Participation by Marcus. I scheduled both emails for 9 o'clock a.m. sharp, just as Marcus and Clara would be stepping into the building. Ryan added one final touch. Just so you know, once this goes out, there's no undoing it. That's the point, I replied. Marcus came home at 3:17 a.m., smelling like hotel soap and cheap complimentary wine. I was already in bed, eyes closed. He kissed my cheek, whispered, "Love you," and slipped under the covers. And for once, I didn't feel my heart crack. I felt nothing at all. Because guilt, shame, confusion, those belonged to the old Peyton. The new me was waiting for sunrise. When the clock hit 9 o'clock a.m., 2 emails would explode an entire building. And Marcus Hale would walk into his own destruction, believing it was just another workday. At 8:59 a.m., the world still looked normal. Marcus was fixing his tie in the hallway mirror, humming the same stupid R&B melody he always hummed when he thought he had everything under control. He sprayed cologne, too much, as usual, and gave me that charming, boyish grin he used whenever he needed to distract me from noticing something off. "Wish me luck," he said, grabbing his keys. "It's a big client morning." "Oh, I know," I said softly. He leaned down, kissed my cheek. "You're the best, Pay. Seriously. Don't know what I'd do without you." My chest didn't even flinch. "You'll find out," I murmured, but only after he closed the door. The second it clicked shut, I pulled my phone closer and watched the time tick down the final 2 seconds. 8:59:58. 8:59:59. 9:00. Both scheduled emails went out. To the entire company. Board members. HR, finance, marketing, interns, executives, everyone. Every screenshot, every confession, every fraudulent expense, every detail of Marcus and Clara's affair wrapped inside company theft. The detonations were perfectly synchronized. Marcus's life, Clara's empire, all of it, imploding in real time. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I just waited. 9:02 a.m. and Ryan texts me. "Ryan, it's happening. Jesus, Peyton, it's really happening." Me. "Keep me posted." Ryan. "You're about to get a novel." Inside the office, Clara's fall. According to Ryan, who arrived early just to witness the chaos, it unfolded like a slow-motion car crash. Clara Whitmore stepped into the building at exactly 9:17 a.m., holding her overpriced latte, hair perfectly curled, heels clicking their arrogant rhythm across the marble floor. She loved her power, loved her image, loved fearing nothing. But fear finally noticed her, because by the time she reached her office door, whispers were spreading behind her like a trailing shadow. Phones lit up everywhere. Screens opened. Jaw after jaw hit the floor. The boardroom glass reflected her confused expression as she noticed employees staring. Not the admiring way they usually did, but with wide-eyed, shocked horror. Ryan described it vividly. Peyton, it was like watching a queen realize her crown was plastic. Then HR appeared. 3 members, 2 from legal, 1 director. Ms. Whitmore, the HR lead said, voice cold as steel. Conference room, now. Clara frowned. This better be important. Then someone yelled from down the hall. Check your email! Her face finally cracked. She unlocked her phone, skimmed the first few lines, and, according to Ryan, dropped her latte. It splattered across the floor like a crime scene. Screenshots of her texts admitting fraud, expense reports showing manipulated funds, hotel stays with Marcus, photos and date stamp locations, her own arrogant confessions. I've been doing this for years. Marcus can't get suspicious. The project budget covered it. No one ever catches me. Her face drained of color, her hands shook, her breath stuttered. Security was called before she even finished reading page 2. They walked her out, heels silent now, eyes hollow, cheeks flushed with humiliation so deep it must have burned. Inside the building, whispers rose like wildfire. Is she going to jail? She stole that much? Was she really sleeping with Marcus? Oh my God, look at these texts. This is insane. She's done. Clara's fall took less than 15 minutes. The higher the pedestal, the harder the crash. 9:21 a.m. Marcus's turn. Marcus arrived late. Perfect. His notifications began flooding faster than his brain could process. It started innocently. Confused messages from coworkers. Dude? Marcus, is this real? Bro, what the hell? Then HR called. He walked in expecting a routine check-in, maybe something about his meeting with Clara. Instead, he faced 3 HR officers, 2 legal advisors, 1 director glaring so hard they could have scorched the table, and a printed packet of every single message Marcus had ever sent to Clara, the ones I had baited, the ones he'd thought were private, the ones he never imagined anyone else would see. There was no room to lie, no one left soft spots, no phrases like, don't be insecure, to hide behind. Ryan texted me blow-by-blow updates. Ryan. Marcus walked into the conference room smiling. He walked out white as a ghost. Peyton. I wish you could have seen it. Me. I don't need to. I can imagine. Ryan. Legal is announcing it's an internal investigation. Suspension effective immediately. He looks sick, like actually sick. Good. Suspension meant income frozen. Health benefits paused. Work devices confiscated. Company car returned. Door access revoked. Everything he thought was his future had been stripped from him in 21 minutes. 9:47 a.m. My phone begins buzzing. First 3 missed calls, then 7, then 14. A text. Marcus. Peyton, something's wrong. Call me, please. It's urgent. Another. I need you. Something happened at work. Please, baby, please just call me. Another. Peyton answered the phone. But the more desperate he became, the colder I felt. Like he was a stranger using my fiancé's number. Finally, after his 37th message and 24 missed calls, I answered. The moment the line clicked, I heard panic. Raw, frantic panic. Peyton, thank God. Something happened. HR thinks Clara got fired, and they're blaming me. And they think I was involved, and I swear, Peyton, please, I need you. I cut him off. My voice was quiet, steady, eerie, even to my ears. It was just a joke, Marcus, I said softly. Don't be insecure. I hung up. The silence after was the most peaceful sound I'd heard in months. 11:02 a.m. The collapse continues. Marcus raced home the moment HR escorted him out. Ryan told me he practically sprinted to the parking garage. Meanwhile, I sat at the kitchen counter sipping coffee, sunlight warming the floor around my feet, the city humming gently outside. The contrast felt poetic. When the intercom buzzed, I didn't jump. Peyton, open the door. Marcus's voice cracked through the speaker. Please talk to me. I'm losing everything. I don't know what's real. Please. I pressed the button. What do you want, Marcus? His breath was shaking. I don't understand what happened. Clara's fired. HR thinks I knew about everything. People are laughing at me, Peyton. No one will tell me who sent the emails. I let a slow silence stretch. I did, I said calmly. His breath hitched like he'd been slapped. Peyton, why would you? You know why. I swear I didn't mean to hurt you, Baby, please, just let me in. I stared at the door, imagining him crumpled on the hallway floor. Homeless, jobless, humiliated, abandoned by the woman he ruined our relationship for. You spent 5 years building a lie, I said softly. I spent 5 days tearing it down. Peyton, please. I pressed the intercom button one last time. You wanted to know what you'd do without me, Marcus. My voice didn't shake, not even a little. Now you're about to find out. Then I hung up. Outside, he started pounding on the door. Inside, I took another sip of coffee. For the first time since discovering the truth, I felt free. The pounding on the hallway door didn't stop. Not for 10 seconds, not for 30, not for a full minute. Marcus wasn't even knocking anymore. He was slamming his palms against the wood like the world was collapsing behind him. And in a way, it was. But not behind him, around him. Inside the apartment, the air felt still, almost weightless, like the silence after a storm. I moved slowly, deliberately, rinsing out my coffee mug while Marcus's voice cracked through the intercom speaker. Peyton, please, baby, just talk to me. His voice sounded younger somehow, smaller, like the confident man who strutted into the world each morning had been peeled back, layer by layer, until only raw desperation was left. I walked to the front door, pressed the intercom button with 2 fingers, and spoke evenly. What do you want, Marcus? He sobbed, actually sobbed, before answering. I pay. God, everything's gone. HR. They suspended me. They said there's an investigation. People in the office. Everyone read the emails. They think my God, please just let me explain. I leaned my shoulder against the wall, listening, but not feeling much of anything. Some part of me wondered if that made me cold. A bigger part knew it made me sane. Explain what? I asked quietly. That it wasn't Clara manipulated everything. I didn't know she was taking money. I thought... You thought what? I cut in. That she was buying you hotel suites and jewelry out of the goodness of her heart? She's a multi-million-dollar executive, Marcus. You honestly thought she was spoiling you like a sugar mama without strings attached? The intercom static buzzed. Then, he broke. I didn't mean for things to go that far, he whispered. I didn't mean to hurt you. I closed my eyes. It wasn't the words that hit me. It was how familiar they sounded. I'd heard variations of them from past relationships, past friends, past family arguments. The kind of apologies that weren't apologies at all. Just soft cushions placed on top of hard truths. Marcus didn't regret hurting me. He regretted getting caught. There's a difference. Open the door, he begged. Please pay. I have nowhere to go. That part made me pause, because I knew exactly what it meant. Marcus had moved out of his old apartment 6 months ago to live with me. He subleased his place to a coworker. He'd bragged about how smart he was to free up cash for the wedding in Italy. His plan had always been, Clara gives him the lifestyle. Peyton gives him stability. When Clara upgraded someone younger, he'd retreat back to me, or so he assumed. He hadn't just cheated. He'd strategized, and now the strategy was crumbling. Where's Clara? I asked, already knowing the answer. He sucked in a sharp breath. She's gone. Security walked her out. She won't answer my messages. People are saying she's going to be arrested. Peyton, I swear I didn't know. You used to rehearse speeches in the mirror, I said. Did you know I heard you? He froze. I continued, steady and controlled. I just need space. We rushed the engagement. It's not you, it's me. I feel trapped. Each line hit him like a strike. I heard his breath shake, heard the realization settle into his bones. All that time, I said softly, you weren't planning a wedding. You were planning an exit. Please, I was confused. Clara, she pressured me. I almost laughed. Clara didn't pressure him into making fun of me, into calling me too sweet, into writing, she'll get over it, when Clara asked when he would leave me. He did that willingly. Tell me something, I said. Was I supposed to find out before or after Italy? That's when Marcus broke completely. A full-body sob tore from him, the kind that seemed pulled from somewhere deep, somewhere scared. I could almost imagine him sliding down the opposite side of the door, hands in his hair, forehead pressed against the wood. I'm sorry, he cried. Peyton, I'm so sorry. I'm begging you. Please don't leave me outside. I have no job, no home, no one else. Please just let me in. I pressed the intercom button again, my voice clean and even. You built this life on lies, Marcus. A choked gasp. And you expected me to hold the pieces for you. Silence. Then, you can't do this to me, he whispered, voice breaking. You can't. I need you. I need you. I let out a slow exhale. Exactly, I said. Another sob. Then I added the sentence that sealed his fate. But I don't need you. He banged on the door hard, desperate. Peyton, I don't have anywhere else to go. I closed my eyes, whispered the truth that had taken me years to learn. That's not my problem. Then I turned off the intercom. But the hallway didn't quiet down. Marcus stayed there. 5 minutes, 10, 15. His cries softened into whimpers. His whimpers into hiccups. finally hiccups into silent, shaking breaths. I walked to the peephole. He was sitting with his back against the door, knees pulled up, head in his hands, suit jacket puddled around him on the floor like discarded dignity. A man undone. I lifted my phone, took a single photo, sent it to Ryan. Me. Guess he's not feeling so powerful now, huh? Ryan. Holy shot, Peyton. Poetry. I didn't respond. I just stared at the door where Marcus sat crying, a grown man who thought he could juggle two lives and keep one woman stupid. Not today. Not anymore. Eventually, Marcus went quiet. Eventually, he stopped knocking. Eventually, he understood. I wasn't coming to the door. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever again. Because some doors, once closed, become walls, and this one would stay locked. Marcus stayed outside my apartment door for almost an hour. At first, it was desperate banging, then frantic pleading. Then he tried guilt, then softness, then anger, then silence. And finally, nothing. I didn't check on him again. I didn't need to. Men like Marcus don't vanish quietly. They fade the way storms do after a violent downpour, not because they choose to, but because there's nothing left to destroy. When the hallway finally grew quiet, I exhaled in a way I hadn't in months. It was the first breath that wasn't suffocating. The first breath that wasn't tangled up in his lies. The first breath that was mine. When I opened the door, 3 hours later, Marcus was gone. All that remained was a damp spot on the carpet where he'd sat, and a single envelope he must have slid under the door before leaving. My name was written on the front in his handwriting, shaky, uneven. I didn't open it. I threw it away. Closure doesn't always come from reading someone's last plea. Sometimes closure is choosing not to touch the past, even when it reaches for you. The next morning, I woke up to pale sunlight stretching across the bedroom, warming the quilt, illuminating dust particles floating lazily in the air. The kind of soft, mundane beauty I hadn't noticed in months because I'd been too busy noticing late-night texts and suspicious smiles. I showered, I dressed, I brewed coffee without the heaviness sitting in my ribs. While the machine hummed, I caught a glimpse of myself in the kitchen window. Tired eyes, tangled hair, faint shadows under my cheekbones. But there was something else too. Space, breath, a beginning. It's strange how heartbreak shifts your reflection. I looked like a woman who had walked through hell but was finally on the other side of it. Not unscarred, just unbroken. My phone buzzed at 8:12 a.m. It was Ryan. Ryan. Morning. HR is holding an emergency meeting today. People are saying Clara might face charges. Me. Good. Ryan. Also, Marcus didn't show up for the second interview round. They're assuming he's not coming back. A pause. Ryan. You okay? He wasn't asking out of curiosity. He was asking because he'd seen too many friends shatter quietly after holding themselves together too long. I typed slowly, truthfully. Me. I think I'm better than okay. I stared at the message after sending it. I realized I meant it. Then came the practical steps. The not dramatic, not cinematic things that still matter. I called a lawyer recommended by my coworker. We spent 45 minutes going over financial safety, removing Marcus from emergency contacts, changing joint account structures, securing my digital logins, ensuring the Italy fund was legally untouchable, documenting the property rights to my apartment. Shockingly, emotional liberation feels even better when wrapped in legal clarity. When I hung up, the lawyer said gently, "You're doing the right thing, Peyton." I didn't cry, not even a little, because a part of me already knew that. Around noon, there was a knock on my apartment door. A soft one. Not Marcus. I could tell from the rhythm alone. When I opened it, Mrs. Parker from across the hall stood there holding a small container of soup like I'd just gone through a minor surgery instead of a major emotional purge. "I heard some noise last night," she said softly. "You okay, sweetheart?" I smiled. A real one. "I'm okay," I said. "Actually, I'm good." She squeezed my arm gently, handed me the soup, and said, "Good girls shouldn't waste themselves on weak men." I laughed, thanked her, and closed the door. Her words lingered longer than I expected. Not because I believed in good girls or weak men, but because for the first time, someone said something about me that wasn't pity or confusion. It was recognition. At 6 p.m., the sky burned orange as the city exhaled itself into dusk. I stepped out onto the balcony, the wind brushing my hair, traffic humming far below. I looked out at the city I had always loved, the one Marcus had slowly made feel smaller, darker, tighter, without me even noticing. Now it felt wide again. Now it felt like it belonged to me. My mind wandered back to the moment I first saw that message on his phone. "Hope your clueless fiancé doesn't get suspicious." I remembered how my heart dropped, how my hands shook. And now? I almost pitied the version of me who read it, because she didn't know yet that she would survive. She didn't know yet that she would reclaim everything she thought she lost. She didn't know yet that she would burn the bridge and walk away, not as a victim, but as a victor. But I know now. I know exactly who I became. A woman who doesn't break quietly. A woman who doesn't stay where she's not respected. A woman who doesn't chase someone who would abandon her without a second thought. A woman who learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is close the door. That night, I turned off my phone, blocked Marcus everywhere, ignored the flying gossip online about the corporate scandal. I made dinner, put on soft music, took a long, slow breath. And in the quiet of my apartment, with the city lights flickering like distant stars, I realized something else. Marcus didn't ruin my life. He just exposed the part of it that needed to end. And as I stood there, leaning on the balcony rail, the wind cool against my skin, a single sentence settled calmly, peacefully in my mind. I walked away, and I didn't lose anything worth keeping.